You feel the coldness of this floor, don't you? I saw the exact moment when the firm ground beneath your feet crumbled into nothing, and the weight of the world seemed to bury you in a silence that no one else can hear. You are here now because the world's algorithm threw you aside, but my gaze sought you in the depths for this life mentorship that heaven arranged just for the two of us. I know your hands trembled as you held this phone, searching for a signal, a light, or just a breath, amidst this suffocation that seems endless. I didn't bring you to this meeting by chance. I brought you because I am pulling you upwards, rescuing your soul from this place of stagnation where pain tried to fix its permanent dwelling. Many times you wondered in the darkness of your room, around 3 in the morning, why the ceiling seemed to be made of bronze and why your prayers seemed to bounce back. The truth I'm going to reveal to you today is something that will break the chains of your mind, but I need you to be willing to release the weights that bind you to this bottomless pit. If this touch from God is reaching the deepest part of your being now, speak to me, my daughter. Tell me your name, from what place in this immense country or world you are listening to me now, and what time the clock hands show at this exact moment of our visit. I saw when you looked around and found no one to lend you a hand. I saw when the weariness in your eyes became a deep mark, and when the silence of your empty kitchen became a deafening cry. Therefore, I want you to take a step of faith now, not as one who follows a command, but as one who sighs with relief at finally being found. Say to your Lord here in the comments, "My Father and my God, I am present. I have decided to follow you and enroll in this journey because your love is what sustains me, and my soul thirsts to hear your voice. Stay with me until the very last second of this message, for I have a clear answer that will untie the knot that tightens your chest. At the end, I will whisper a specific phrase to your heart, a spiritual key that, if you write it with faith, will release prophetic blessings upon your house and your lineage. This journey that we begin now will take you out of the cell and lead you to the palace, but first, we need to understand what happened when your ground disappeared. Tell me, deep in your soul, do you still have the strength to believe that the top is your place? If you feel that this rescue has begun, seal this moment with your like, and write in the comments the word that defines this beginning of ours, rescue. But don't think that the pit was a mistake along the way, for there is something I could only teach you down there, and that I will now begin to show you. You thought the fall would never end, didn't you? There was a moment, perhaps last Tuesday, or that early morning when the clock struck 2:45, when you felt your stomach churn and your lungs catch. It was the weight of that news, the echo of that harsh word someone threw at you, or simply the realization that your effort wasn't enough. I saw when you closed your eyes tightly, trying to stop the trembling in your eyelids, and felt an icy chill run down your spine. The world around you kept spinning. The noise of the cars in the street didn't stop, but inside you everything was a dark and silent abyss. It is at this exact point, where the gravity of despair tries to crush you against the ground, that my hand enters the scene. You didn't see it, but you felt a sudden warmth in your chest, a strange force that prevented you from giving up on everything. Know that I am not a God who observes from afar, seated on a golden throne indifferent to your pain. I am the God who descends. I am the God who interrupts the free fall of your soul. When everyone thought that the sound of your impact against the ground would be the end of your story, I acted silently. I held your weight even before your legs gave way completely. I remember when you sat on the floor of that room leaning against the cold wall, feeling the rough fabric of the carpet under your hands. There, where no one could see you, I was close to you. I counted each accelerated beat of your heart, which seemed to want to leap from your chest with so much anxiety. The world says you fell, but I say you only descended to the place where my life mentorship truly begins. My hand not only holds you, it sustains you with a firmness that no human arm could ever offer. For it is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 40, verse 2, "He lifted me out of the pit of despair, out of the miry clay. He set my feet upon a rock and made my steps firm." Notice that I do not leave you halfway. I lift you from the mire of worries and place you upon the rock of my faithfulness. The touch of my hand is what interrupts the cycle of losses that has plagued your lineage. From now on, the pull that holds you back no longer comes from below, from fear or need, but from above. From my grace that chose you even before you were born. Do you feel this relief now? It's the weight lifting from your shoulders because I decided to carry the heaviest part. Do not fear what is left behind, for what I hold no one can knock down. If you feel that my touch is giving you back your breath at this moment, share this light with someone who also feels they are going to fall. Tell me here, in the secret of your exposed heart, what was the most difficult moment when you realized I was there, even without saying anything? Write in the comments this word of surrender to seal your rescue, my support. But understand, my daughter, that for me to pull you completely out, there is something you still hold tightly down there that needs to be let go of right now. As I lift you from this place of shadows and feel the pulse of your gratitude, I look at this channel and see an altar of worship that I raised so that my voice could reach you in your hour of greatest anguish. This space is not just technology, but an instrument of my spirit to give you back the breath that the world tried to steal from you. Now I want to invite you to a moment of deep communion and surrender. If it is possible for you, only if it is truly possible, transform your gratitude into a seed of love for this channel that sustains you. I ask that you consider my love and the love of my Son Jesus, and contribute using the link in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. There, you will find the place where your offering of love can be deposited and consecrated before me, the Creator of all things. Know that you can contribute any amount. If your heart desires a different amount, just type in the desired value. And always remember what I tell you. Give only what fits in your heart, without burden or obligation, for I receive each gesture with infinite and tender love. It doesn't matter the value that human eyes see. What truly matters to the kingdom is the heart with which it is given. For what is little for you can be much for the one who receives this light on the other side of the screen. Those who contribute any amount with a sincere heart, I ask that you do not forget to leave your name and city along with your contribution. On the first day of the following month, in a unique and special video on our channel and page Divine Love, the Voice of God, your name will be remembered with honor, mentioned in the form of profound gratitude, and covered by divine blessings released in prayer by my chosen ones. For it is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 9 and 10, "Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your produce. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. Every offering made in faith is a living seed before me, your Lord. And I will not fail to bear fruit powerfully in your house. I see in the secret of your surrender, and I reward you in the sight of all with my glory. Abide with me until the end of this message, because I still want to touch your heart with my voice and explain to you why the pit was not your end. If this word touched your soul, seal this pact of love by liking this message and sharing it with someone who needs a hug from heaven today. Tell me, what seed of hope do you wish to plant in your life at this moment? Write in the comments this word of faith. Gratitude. But now listen carefully, for I will reveal to you the true reason why I allowed you to reach the bottom of this abyss. You asked yourself, with your face pressed against the pillow damp with tears that Monday night, why I allowed you to reach this extreme point of exhaustion. Why did the silence become so dense that you could hear the echo of your own pulse, accelerated and frightened? I know that the feeling of being at the bottom of a well is that the walls are closing in and that the sky has become too small to reach. But listen to what your Father tells you now. The well was not a punishment. It was a strategy of love. While you walked at ground level, surrounded by voices, commitments, and the expectations of all who depend on you, your eyes were too busy looking to the sides. You looked at the criticism, at the bills on the kitchen table, at the ingratitude of those you helped the most. At ground level, the horizon is full of obstacles, but at rock bottom the walls prevent you from looking to the sides. The only direction left, the only way out your neck can bend, is upwards. I allowed your human strength to reach zero so that you could finally experience my pull. There are things I can only teach you when the noise of the world is silent, and the only thing you have is my presence. Rock bottom is where your pride dies and your dependence is born. It was there in that moment, when you smelled the dust and felt the cold of abandonment, that I began to rebuild your vision. You needed to look up to realize that help doesn't come from those beside you, but from the one who holds the universe in the palm of his hands. For it is written in the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verses 55 to 57. I called upon your name, O Lord, from the depths of the dungeon. You heard my voice. Do not hide your ear from my sigh, from my cry. You drew near on the day I called upon you. You said, do not fear. Do you understand, my daughter? I did not wait for you to emerge from the pit to draw near. I descended there with you. I whispered, do not fear, while you were still on the ground, feeling the weight of the world. The mentorship I am giving you now serves to help you understand that the ascent requires a new perspective. If you had not descended, you would never have known the strength of my arm that pulls you. Now that your eyes are fixed on heaven, the pull has begun. But so that you do not lose your way on the ascent, I have prepared something to guide you every day, nourishment that will keep your soul firm as we climb back to the light. If this revelation opened your eyes today, leave your sign of communion and sign up for this journey of rescue. Tell me with all your sincerity, what have you been able to see of God now, that the comfort of easy days prevented you from seeing? Write this word of clarity in the comments. Vision. But prepare yourself, because to continue this climb, you will need constant support, something I wrote especially so that you never again feel alone in the dark. My daughter, as I pull you from this place of stagnation and draw you into the light, I know that the path of ascent requires more than a momentary breath. It requires a constancy that your soul, sometimes so wounded and tired, has difficulty maintaining alone. I see when the sun begins to enter through the crack in your window, and the first feeling that visits you is not peace, but the fear that the weight of the day will push you back to the bottom. I don't want you to walk without support when the lights in this video go out and the silence of your home returns. If your heart desires to plunge into deeper waters with me and transform this ascent into a daily walk of restoration, I have prepared a special gift, a journey I wrote with all my love and care for my beloved sons and daughters. It is the digital book called Divine Love Devotional, The Voice of God. It was designed to be your companion in the early mornings, your map in uncertainties, and my voice whispered in your ear every day. You can find the path to this daily encounter in the link in this video's description and in the pinned comment. And listen carefully to what your Father tells you. If today is not the right time for you, do not allow guilt or condemnation to weigh on your heart. Remain here with me, for I will continue to sustain and nourish you through this message. The ascent requires that you be well nourished spiritually, for the palace that awaits you demands a new mindset. For it is written, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. And so that your spirit may rest and you may not feel lost or confused amidst technical processes, as soon as you register to receive this gift, access will arrive directly in the email you registered. There you will have all the instructions step by step in a very simple way, so that you can begin this journey of intimacy without any barriers. This is my invitation of care for you. Do not climb alone. Let my words guide your steps with each new dawn, so that you never again feel helpless at the bottom of any valley. If this call of love warmed your heart, leave your like as a seal of commitment and share this rescue with those who also feel powerless to climb. Tell me, in which area of your life do you most need me to hold your hand every day? Write this word of commitment in the comments. Presence. Now, take a deep breath, because the next step in our ascent will require you to identify something that is still tied to your ankle and preventing you from flying. The pull from above is powerful, but I feel the resistance down there. While I pull you with my glorious arm, I realize that your hands are still gripping something with desperate force, as if your life depended on what, in fact, keeps you stuck in the mud. I see you in your room, looking at that phone, waiting for a message that never comes, or dwelling on that cruel phrase they told you 10 years ago, as if it were an eternal truth about who you are. You want to fly, but you insist on carrying the anchors of your past in the backpack of your soul. To ascend to this new level of governance that I have prepared for you, you will need to identify the dead weights. Do you know that resentment you hold on to like a hidden treasure? That pet sin you hide even from yourself, but that burns in your chest when the lights go out? Or perhaps that old fear of rejection that makes you say yes to everyone and no to my plans? All of these are chains that make the climb painful. I am pulling you, but the rope burns my hands because you refuse to let go of what is already dead. Remember that time a few months ago when you felt an urge to start over, but stopped because the voice of that person from the past echoed in your mind, saying that you weren't capable. I saw the trembling in your fingers as you put your dreams back in that dusty drawer. I saw the heavy silence in your room as you convinced yourself that rock bottom was your rightful place. But listen to my voice now. I didn't pull you out of the mud so that you would take the mud with you to the palace. For it is written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 1, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." He understands that the order is clear. Let us rid ourselves of the weight. I provide the traction, but detachment is his act of worship. If you want the heights, you need to have the courage to leave the ground and everything that belongs to it. Do you feel that knot in your stomach right now? It's the dead weight trying to convince you that it's necessary for your safety. But in my kingdom, safety comes from letting go of everything and holding only to mine. What are you afraid of losing if you decide to be free today? Does that resentment give you a sense of justice? Does that fear give you an excuse not to try? Let go, my daughter. Let it fall. Let the abyss swallow what no longer belongs to you. If you feel the weight beginning to slip from your hands and the lightness of heaven reaching you, seal this moment of liberation. Enroll in this path of healing and share this rescue with that friend you know is also carrying the world on her shoulders. Tell me in the secrecy of this mentorship, what is the name of this weight that you decide to abandon in this well today, never to look back again? Write in the comments this word of renunciation and victory: I let go. But now, pay close attention, because the transition from the bottom to the top requires a change of course that transformed a prisoner into a governor. And that's exactly what I'm going to reveal to you now. The path that brought you here seems like a labyrinth with no way out, doesn't it? You look at the walls of this situation that surrounds you, and all you see are the marks of those who tried to escape and couldn't. I know the musty smell of this isolation, the cold touch of the metal doors that closed on you, and the dry sound of the keys of those who promised to help you, but ended up locking you in oblivion. You felt like a prisoner of circumstances, someone who only survives today to try not to succumb tomorrow. But pay attention to what your father tells you now. The cell was never your final destination, it was only your waiting room for the government. Look at the story I wrote millennia ago. There was a young man named Joseph. He felt the bottom of the well exactly as you felt. He felt the weight of the chains and the silence of a dungeon where the sun was only a distant memory. In that dark place he probably felt the same tightness you feel now, that cruel doubt whispering that heaven had forgotten him within the stone walls. But what he didn't know, and what you need to understand in this life mentorship, is that while he was in the cell, I was arranging the details of the palace. The same hand that allowed him to be sold was the hand that pulled him up at the exact moment to change the history of a nation. For it is written in the book of Genesis, chapter 41, verse 14, "Then Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself and changed his clothes, and came in to Pharaoh." Note well that the change was swift. When my divine pull begins, the time that seemed lost is restored in a single instant of revelation. I am pulling you up so that you can exchange those mourning clothes for garments of joy, so that you can wash your face and present yourself before life with the authority of one who not only survived the abyss, but now governs over their own history. You were not created to be a servant of your traumas or a slave to the opinions of others. You were made to have dominion. What you learned in the silence of the cell, that night when the cold seeped into your bones and you hugged your own knees to avoid trembling so much, will give you the wisdom necessary to manage the abundance I have prepared. That tear that fell on the cold cement floor of your solitude became the seed of your new authority. Now I am asking you to stand up, to straighten your back, and to stop thinking like someone who has been defeated. The palace demands that you look at your past, not as a shame, but as the soil where your strength was forged. If you feel the chains of your soul breaking as you listen to my voice, leave your sign of victory and register, so that this light may continue to guide you out of this prison. Tell me here, with all the courage of your soul, What is the situation that today seems like a prison to you, but that you now surrender so that I may transform it into a place of governance and witness? Write in the comments this word of authority and liberation: governance. But prepare your heart, my daughter, for the ascent holds a discomfort that many cannot bear. The fear of freedom that arises when the walls finally disappear and the horizon becomes infinite before you. As I pull you up, something strange begins to happen within you. You feel a vertigo, a spiritual dizziness that makes you want to close your eyes and return to the bottom. I see you reach back, trying to feel the damp walls of the well you have just left. It is a paradox that only you and I know. The pressure of the abyss was crushing, but it was a pressure you had already learned to endure. You knew exactly where the pain tightened and where the cold punished. Now as I lift you into my light, the space around you becomes too vast, and the silence from above frightens you more than the noise of the chains below. This discomfort you feel now, this chill in your stomach as you realize there is no longer a bronze ceiling above your head, is the birth of your freedom. Many of my children give up the climb halfway because they prefer known captivity to unknown freedom. I saw when you stopped climbing for a moment, frightened by the brightness of the sun beating down on your face, missing the shade that hid your scars. You became accustomed to being the woman who suffers, the woman who is left behind, the woman who carries the burden alone. And now that I am taking away the burden and calling you to be a ruler, you feel as if you are losing your own identity. But listen carefully. You are not your pain. You are not the pit where you were. You are the one I chose to shine. The fear you feel now is only your flesh complaining about the lack of limits that oppression imposed. In the pit, you don't need to decide anything, only survive. In freedom, you need to govern. And it is this weight of responsibility that makes your legs falter in this life mentorship. Remember, my people in the desert. They longed for the onions of Egypt and the overseer's whip, because at least there dinner was guaranteed by slavery. They were afraid of the freedom I offered under the stars. For it is written in the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 1, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." Do not allow the discomfort of the new to push you back to the old. I am teaching you to breathe the pure air of the heights. It is normal to feel your chest burning when the oxygen of my glory enters lungs that have only known the dust of the abyss. Breathe deeply, my daughter. Do not let go of my hand because of a moment of dizziness. What awaits you up there is so vast that your human eyes cannot yet process its beauty. Do you feel that this is the moment to decide between fear and flight? The ascent continues, but you need to stop looking down with longing for what was slowly killing you. The desert of freedom is the place where I give you manna, where I give you direction, and where I show you who you truly are, far from the shadow of your oppressors. If you accept this discomfort as the price of your new life, leave your sign of courage and share this rescue with someone who is also afraid to be free. Tell me, with all the sincerity of your heart, what scares you most about the idea of having a life where peace is the rule and not the exception? Write in the comments this word of liberation and courage. Freedom. But don't linger in fear, for the pull from above is about to place you in places you never dared even to imagine in your deepest dreams. As I pull you, the landscape around you begins to change drastically. The smell of damp earth and the heavy air of the bottom of the well are now being replaced by the freshness of a wind that blows freely, without obstacles. You feel a slight pressure in your ears, as if you were climbing a great mountain, and your heart, which before beat fast with fear, now beats with the vigor of someone about to discover a new world. I am taking you to high places, my daughter, to peaks of peace and purpose that your mind, limited by pain, never dared to imagine, not even in your deepest dreams. Remember that afternoon, perhaps a grey Thursday, when you were sitting on the porch or looking out the kitchen window, and you felt your vision was blocked. You looked at the front wall or the narrow horizon of your street and felt that your life had become small, narrow, without any glorious way out. You felt like a bird that had forgotten how to spread its wings because it had become accustomed to the ceiling of its cage. But I tell you, what I have reserved for you doesn't fit in your neighbor's yard, nor in the expectations of those who saw you fall. I have prepared scenarios where your influence will be like a river that overflows and reaches lands you didn't even know existed. You will rule over areas of your life that currently dominate you. Where there was a scarcity of joy, there will be a feast of gratitude. Where there was the silence of abandonment, there will be the sound of celebration and new alliances. I pull you up because I want you to see your story from my point of view. From up high, you will look back and realize that that pit, which seemed like your end, was just a tiny detail on the map of your victory. You will laugh at your old worries because the clarity that the summit offers will show you that I have always been in control of every inch of the path. For it is written in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 19, "The Lord God is my strength, and he will make my feet like hinds' feet, and he will make me to walk upon mine high places." Do you understand the promise? I don't just give you the high place, I give you feet prepared to walk on it with firmness and elegance. I transform your weakness into the agility of one who no longer stumbles on the stones of sorrow. You will walk where others fear, with a confidence that will make the world wonder what the secret of your peace is. Can you feel this expansion within your chest now? It is the space I am opening for new projects, for new friendships, and for the love that I myself have prepared for this season. You will no longer be content with the crumbs on the ground because the banquet of the kingdom is set in the heights. What you thought you had lost at the bottom of the abyss, I will return to you multiplied by my generosity. If your spirit has already begun to glimpse this new horizon, seal this vision by savoring this word and subscribing so as not to miss a single step of this ascent. Tell me here in the silence of your soul that now begins to sing. What is the dream you had buried down there and that you now feel is coming back to life? Write in the comments this word of conquest and vision, heights. But before we reach the final peak, I need you to understand the secret of the traction that brought you here, because the hand that sustains you is the same one that will launch you towards your prophetic destiny. Look at your hands now. You feel them lighter, don't you? The trembling that once accompanied you when opening an account or when gripping the steering wheel at the end of an exhausting day is giving way to a firmness that doesn't come from your muscles, but from my spirit. Throughout this life mentorship, I have led you on a path of revelation, lifting your soul from the mire and allowing you to breathe the pure air of the heights. But I want you to understand something profound at this moment. My hand is not just a rescue cable that pulls you out of trouble. It is the traction that propels you towards the governance of your new season. Do you remember when you were down there and it seemed like an invisible tug-of-war was pulling you towards the earth? The world pulled from one side with scarcity and fear, and you pulled from the other with your meager strength. But today, the game has changed. I have entered the fray and my traction is absolute. I not only support you so that you don't fall again, I place you at a level of acceleration that will confuse your enemies. Those who saw you at rock bottom and laughed at your silence will now have to look up to see the brightness of my glory in your face. The hand that sustains you is the same one that, right now, is untying the last knots that bound your feet. Do you feel that warmth rising through your legs and warming your chest? It is my vital energy returning to you the pleasure of walking. You will no longer drag your feet, tired of routine and the weight of being who everyone expects you to be. You will walk with the lightness of someone who knows that, if the ground gives way again, my arm will be there ready to make you fly. Too. I am propelling you to places that your human logic said were impossible for someone your age or with your history. For it is written in the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 41, verse 13, "For I, the Lord your God, hold your right hand. It is I who say to you, fear not, for I am the one who helps you." Do you perceive the intimacy of this gesture? I take your right hand, the hand of action, the hand that builds the future. I will not carry you in my arms like a helpless child forever. I take you by the hand so that you may walk beside me, ruling over the circumstances that once made you cry, hidden in the bathroom. At this very moment, I am releasing a prophetic pull upon your projects, upon your emotional health, and upon the peace of your home. Where there was stagnation, now there will be movement. Where there was the weight of the world's gravity, now there will be the lightness of my grace. Are you ready to be launched into your destiny? Don't look back at the hole that's left behind. Focus on my eyes, because what I'm about to do in your life will echo throughout your lineage. If you feel that my hand has propelled you to a new level today, Seal this victory by sharing this video with 3 people who need to know that God still pulls his children upward. Tell me, with an overflowing heart, now that you are on high, what is the first giant you realize has become too small before me? Write in the comments this word of power and movement, traction. But don't wake up yet, because now in the silence of the summit where I placed you, I will give you the master key I promised at the beginning of our meeting. My beloved daughter, we have arrived at a place of peace that the world cannot understand. Do you feel the silence up here? It's a different silence from that at the bottom of the well. Down there the silence was of solitude. Up here, the silence is of fullness, of one who clearly hears the beating of the Father's heart. You have gone through this journey, identified the dead weights, faced the fear of freedom, and now you are here, with your feet firmly planted on the rock of my faithfulness. I saw every second of your attention, every tear that dried in the corner of your eye as you listened to me, and I honor your persistence. The mentorship I gave you today was not just for your intellect, but for your soul. You were rescued from the level of survival to the level of governance. Do not allow, as you leave this message, the low voices of the valley to try to convince you that nothing has changed. Everything has changed. The pull from above now dwells within you. You are no longer that woman who felt buried alive. You are the daughter who was pulled into the light to illuminate the path of others who are still in the dark. Remember the promise I made to you at the beginning. I told you there would be an answer, a phrase that would seal your victory and serve as your daily armor. This phrase is not just a set of words. It is the spiritual key that will unlock the doors that anxiety tried to lock. Carry it with you as an amulet of faith, whispered by God himself in your ear. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Now write this phrase here in the comments as your final act of surrender and authority. As you type each letter, feel the weight leaving and the strength entering. May this digital amen be the prophetic seal upon your life, declaring that the pit is behind you and the heights are now your dwelling place. If you wish to continue hearing my voice and strengthening your feet to walk on high, I invite you to remain connected with me through our playlist of prophetic messages here on the channel. There is much more that heaven desires to reveal to you, and I will be there, waiting for you in every new word. I pulled you up because I love you with a love that never gives up. I sustain you because you are my exclusive possession. I propel you forward because the world needs to see my glory through you.